So this is actually the first chance I've had on this channel to talk about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, after it happened, I was on Braver Than the Rest, and you need to check out that podcast. We had a lengthy discussion about what went down with Charlie Kirk, and it was a heartbreaking scenario. I've watched the video, the close-up video, so many times, just not because out of some morbid curiosity, but just to kind of try to understand. I know that things are going to get distorted and confused as this investigation goes on, and there's been some revelations over the past 24 hours. Praise the Lord for that. But what I want to talk about is, I'm going to start with this, and then we'll get into some of the details, some of the things that just aren't lining up with how they're saying this went down. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do enjoy conspiracy theories, but this is not the time for that. This is the time for facts, figures, actual information, and hopefully the FBI can release some of that to us. But I want us to understand and conceptualize what we are up against. I'm going to play some clips later on about the people that are ginning up this hate and this violence, and these are deranged people. They're I won't say they're damaged people. They're very damaged people. In some cases, like all of us, we're all damaged people, but we have a moral framework that is guided, hopefully, by Christ, but at least by common moral principles. And this is an attempt, just as the Trump assassination was, but this is an attempt to start what I believe equates to a religious war. And they worship this group that is against us, that is trying to frighten us, that is trying to scare us out of the public square. They are part of the religion of self. This is what I believe. It's the religion of self. This is what transgenderism is. This is what leftism is. All the isms that get thrown around. This is what it is. This is the religion of self. And they worship themselves as their own gods. And when you challenge their position, they equate it mentally, and maybe even without knowing, that this is similar to someone who's calling out Christ on like my behalf, because as a Christian. But the moral code for them is not something biblical, like I have and keep near me at all times. It's a moral code that resides in themselves, and that moral code is derived from human nature, which is part of the fallen world. This is how, and this is something amazing that Charlie Kirk did, is he wove Christianity and his moral framework of Christianity into everything, and we will never know how many people's lives that changed. And we can continue to say that these people, what they need is they need Christ. Full stop. Everybody needs him, but these people in particular. And so they need it. And I honestly, when I thought about it, I was angry. I'm sure you guys were angry. And what I pray for is I pray for visions. We've heard about these visions that people are having of Christ in Muslim countries, that they're appearing to them. That's what I pray for these people. And, the ideology that guides them is not far off from radical Islam. It's one of death and destruction and conquest, controlling, your speech and controlling your day-to-day lives. And they do it out of hate and anger. And I pray that Christ comes and speaks to these people, because these are destructive ideologies, whether it's transgenderism or leftism or whatever. Pick your poison. And I pray the same thing for these social media influencers in the mainstream media. They've we as a country, in a lot of ways, have started to let government supersede our faith. And, that's when that happens, your high authority becomes a Donald Trump or a Joe Biden or a Kamala Harris or a J.D. Vance or a whoever. And that in and of itself is destructive. And it's divisive. Now, everybody likes to say that, no, I put God above all of those things. And I hope and pray that everybody does. But there's a lot of people who don't, on both sides of the political aisle. And they get bought into this power grab that's been going on in the mainstream media, that's been going on in the Democrat Party for a very long time, that's been going on in the Republican Party for a very long time. And so the fact that we had somebody like a Charlie Kirk who was able to so eloquently step out in front of these young people, the next generation of voters, the next generation of leaders in America, and challenge their position was an incredibly courageous thing to do. And he did it better than anybody else. And it's the mantle that we have to pick up. They think that taking out one person is going to stop all of that, and it's not. It's just not. This is like any war, and I don't mean this in a combative fisticuffs war, because there's a lot of people calling for that. There's a lot of people on the right calling for that. There's definitely people on the left calling for that. That's not the type of war that we're looking for. The type of war that we're in is a war of good versus evil. It's a spiritual battle. I firmly believe that. And it's a numbers game. And the more people that we have on our side, the more the battle goes in our favor and in our direction. So I'm going to, and I never talk biblical things. I don't, because it's not my thing. It's not who I am. It's woven into what I think and believe and how I live my life, but it's generally speaking not what I do on a daily basis. And in this instance, a scripture that a lot of people know, it makes perfect sense. And of course, I have the wrong screen selected. In this instance, you've probably heard this one. It's from Ephesians, the book of Ephesians. So get yourself a Bible, go read it. But finally, be strong in the Lord and His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and praise in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. And that's what they want us to forget, that we're all the Lord's people, even the ones who are deranged. You might come across somebody and you can impart on them some little bit of wisdom, some little bit of knowledge, and maybe open their eyes to the goodness that exists in this world if you have Christ. It's not the goodness in this world, but the good that you can bring to this world. Charlie Kirk did it, and I never knew the guy, but I was like everybody. I was heartbroken. We lost. It's not. You could say an icon, but he was an amazing American. And thankfully, we're getting some more information. This was recently released, so they've named a person of interest. And I wish they hadn't called it. I love the post-millennial, but I really wish the post-millennial hadn't simply called this an M word, because I can't say that, I don't think, on YouTube. I wish they had called this what it was. This was a political assassination. So authorities now have the name of a person of interest in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Sources tell CBS that while no arrest warrants have been issued, investigators have a name to put with the images they released on Thursday as they continue their investigation. The images that they released were of this person here. So if you happen to know of anybody out there, if you happen to, share it all over social media. Feel free to take a screenshot and share it. It's all over X. So I implore everybody to share this. Allegedly, this is the person. Now, I'm going to tell you that some of the details around this have me scratching my head. I'm not going to lie. They have me scratching my head. First off, this was all they have released. This looks like, I don't know the brand of this rifle. This is what they say did it. This is what they say was used. And this is, they said a 30 caliber. So I don't know if that was a 30-06. I heard that. I don't know if it was a 308. But I'm going to let the gun sleuths out there take a look at this, and I'm sure you will notice some really strange things. First off, the eye relief. The eye relief of the scope. And if you don't know what eye relief is, it's how far the scope normally is away from your eye. And when you properly seat a rifle against your cheek, that scope has to be far enough away that you don't get what we call a scope bite or get kissed by the scope, which means it comes back and pops you in the eyebrow. That doesn't seem right. The positioning of the scope rings does not seem right. So I initially, when I saw this, I said, well, this is a novice. This person doesn't know what they're doing. And maybe they just, got a bucket of rounds, went out there, got it zeroed for 200 yards, and were able to get off a lucky shot. Strange. It was also convenient that, every report that came out was saying there was, transgender and anti-fascist/fascist commentary on the bullets, on the rifle, on the, I don't think they said magazine, because I believe this one, I can't tell, but it looks like it's a top fed, could be a top fed rifle, which is just a basic hunting rifle. I don't know if there's a magazine well underneath it that I'm not familiar of. I can't see a magazine release. But nonetheless, this was, oh, here, I didn't show it to you. If it's a top feeder round, they said that one round was expended and that there were 2 or 3 unspent cartridges inside of the rifle. Okay. So the reflex, I would venture to say the reflex for most novice shooters is going to be to rack that one round back in. Maybe he goes to pick up the casing. I don't know. But one round was fired. It stayed in the rifle and he departed. That in and of itself, to me, not being conspiratorial, seems strange. They found it wrapped in a blanket. Why wrapped in a blanket? What was the purpose of wrapping? I mean, I guess to conceal it, okay? Let's assume it was concealed. And then, some other things lining up. There was a school shooting simultaneously. While this was going on, we were getting reports of a school shooting. Why? I do not know. This one was going on in Evergreen, Colorado. So investigators identify the Evergreen school shooter. They credit students and staff for saving their lives. Is this part of a coordinated attack? Because there was more than one. There was also one today that was in UMass. Or excuse me, I might have this backwards, but September 11th. Yeah, okay, so this one was today. Yeah, this one was today. UMass was today, and Evergreen was yesterday. Is this some coordinated effort on the part of multiple parties to try and gin up fear and discourage people? Are there any more that are going to take place? Should all schools be on high alert? Possibly. Those were distractions. And I shouldn't say distractions. It was strange that they would happen at the same time. Are they copycats? Is that something that we need to be looking out for? But one of the most oddly suspicious things was the book that was published. You guys probably saw this online. It's been all over X. But this book was published on September 9th. Now, I will tell you that this can be done. I've researched this. You can get a book published in 72 hours on Amazon. So if you have the cover art, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but allegedly, if you've got the cover art, you can get a book done in 72 hours. So that starts to set a timeline. This person had obviously been planning this. We know they had because they knew where they were going to be. They knew how far it was, apparently, knew how far that distance was, so that they were able to use one round to get one shot. They planned it in advance because this book pops up on Amazon as people are Googling what happened to Charlie Kirk. They see, wait a second, this was September 9th. How in the world did that happen? That seems strange. So it was planned. The person knew exactly how they were going to get away because they were able to evade the police, and I've still evaded the police, but have for 24 hours. And we've now got drone footage, which I think in my initial impression, and this is, again, I want to say this is how I am analyzing the information. More data is going to be coming out, but this is drone footage that was provided of the college campus. And you can see here, this is the stage. And if you pan back, so that's Charlie Kirk's location. As you pan back, over here is the active shooter location. My question in this was how this happened to him. When you watch the video, which I have watched it back and forth, frame by frame, much to my dismay, because obviously it's a terrible thing to see. But how his body, how his neck impacted that round, to me did not seem like this, which is a straight-on shot to Charlie Kirk. He's directly in front of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was here facing the crowd. He was facing directly out this way. That seems strange. Now, a lot of people online are saying, oh, lest we forget that the two-shooter theory has been something pretty common in, political assassinations in American history. And they're right. Kennedy obviously comes to mind. There were suspicions of that with Donald Trump that came to mind. And based on how all that went down, I've looked at it on Google Earth, and that does not jive with me. What they're saying does not jive with me. And again, I hate saying this because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm also kind of letting you know this is what's out there. We'll wait for what the authorities tell us, and more information from the thousands, literally thousands of cell phones will come out. We'll be able to comb through it, and we'll be able to figure out whether we're being BS'd or not by the authorities. There was, as we saw in Donald Trump, and I'm going to show you two different examples. Does this mean anything? I don't know. I'm showing you this because you're going to see it all over the internet. We have to have discerning minds, and we can't jump to the conspiracy theories because that's what the clickbaiters want. All the clickbaiters want us to jump to the conspiracy theories. I'm just saying these are anomalies that are being divulged, and these are the things we're going to have to analyze over time. So here's the guy that was behind Charlie Kirk, and this scenario might seem familiar to you. Boy, X is moving really slow. Here, I'll just play it here. So watch the guy in the hat. Shortly thereafter, okay, I forgot. I grabbed the one with the military signal. We don't need to worry about that. That's not what it was. But it looks like hand signal, tipping the hat, right? And then immediately after that, this happens. Well, if you remember, we had a similar scenario with the Donald Trump assassination attempt. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm saying, Jepper. Not another conspiracy theory. What this is it's giving people information. Everybody needs information to determine what is true, what is false. It's gonna get filled in the algorithm. And I'm saying don't jump to conclusions, but here's the things that are out there right now. If you remember this lady here.
If you want to really see something to say.
And so the woman that's behind him right there, she immediately pops up and shoots her cell phone. These are strange anomalies that happen with these assassinations, with these assassination attempts. Oh, yeah, okay. All right, well, I know where you sit on this one then, Jepper. Okay, anyway. All right, so suspicious behavior. Was that signaling? Who knows? We don't know. What we do know is that the authorities have been more than willing to lie to us, and I think it's going to take a bit more internet sleuthing to proof whatever information they give us. It all seems very, very strange. There's the one of the flight, so people are tracking aircraft and how they're falling off the radar and all this silly stuff. That I don't know. People are going to take it to the nth degree in an effort to generate clickbait. But I can't guarantee that this is going to be some, clean and simple scenario. That's what I'm saying. And, look, there's people, Ben Shapiro came out and said, no, I'm not canceling any of my events. There's other people that have been saying they're going to cancel events. And why is that? Because these people, they're wildly, wildly deranged. And let me play a couple of these for you. And I'm playing this so that you know, based on my intro to this whole episode, that this is the type of thing that we're up against. Let me play a couple of clips here for you. Now, this guy later came out and said, no, I was doing it to try and distract someone. So this is immediately after. You can see all the people around him are hunkered down, and he's whooping and hollering. Now, he said he did it to try and distract somebody. I don't know. Is that him covering for it? I don't know. But these, let me pull a couple of these TikToker videos. These have been making their rounds all over X. People dancing, and by the way, if you watch my show on a regular basis, I try to keep it PG-13. That's not going to be the case tonight. Go ahead, and if you got your kids around, earmuff it.
So that you know exactly where I stand. And I will say this with my whole entire chest. There are some people on this app that are sitting there saying, oh, you shouldn't wish death upon any person, no matter what side they're on. Fuck that. Fuck that. Charlie Kirk was a fucking Nazi. He was a fucking Nazi. And you know what kind of Nazi is the best Nazi? A dead one. Thank God that shit stain of a person is no longer in this world. And may his hell be being confronted by every single marginalized person that he hurt. That is what is fucking wrong with you. That does not make me a bad person.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does. This is the, like I told you before, this is the religion of self. This is the religion of self.
The thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great. The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material.
Yo, they got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier.
Never believe the reason I'm smiling. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with Charlie Kirk.
I would say pour one out for Kirky Boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
I haven't posted on TikTok in a long time, but I'm gonna now because rest in peace, bozo.
Look, you can hear it in their voices. It's the demonic, if there ever was demonic. Wildly demonic. Just, hysterically laughing at a guy he had a son, he had a daughter, he had a wife that he left behind. And it's not just him too. It's not just him. The pundits on TV they're pulling blocker and they are trying to minimize all of this and they're trying to blame shift and all that nonsense. Here we go. Here's Nate Burleson, who I'm going to assume if he hasn't, he needs to be fired by now.
And as Tony mentioned, not everyone took to his words or his rhetoric. You know, at times they were offensive to specific communities. But with that said, this is not the time to focus on that. We are focused on this tragedy. Speaking of this tragedy, is this a moment for your party to reflect on political violence? Is it a moment for us to think about the responsibility of our political leaders and their voices and what it does to the masses as they get lost in misinformation or disinformation that turns in and spills into political violence?
I say both parties. You know, I don't even say.
How much Republican violence has there been? How many Republicans are out here trying to unalive people? Well, they're not. That's the answer. They're not. Nate Burleson is saying, well, I think it's, you're our political leaders. Which political leader are they focused on right now? Oh, this obviously, the Democrat political leaders, right? No. Here we go. Listen to Elizabeth Warren.
Please. Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
So it's not the Democrats, it's not the pundits on the left who are pushing this nonsense, who are riling up their base to try to continue this. They first off, they're too narcissistic to ever admit any fault, to ever admit that ginning up their base for the past, 10 years, telling them to find these people in the streets, tell them that they're dealing with fascists and they're dealing with Nazis and they're dealing with white supremacists and that all the violence comes from white supremacists, that the Republican Party is full of evil people. These are evil people trying to take over your country. They're trying to take your things. They're trying to hold you down. The rhetoric, and they don't want to take responsibility. Instead, they say, no, Donald Trump puts out mean tweets. How about you talk to Donald Trump, the mean tweet guy? So, look, I play all this to say that the evil in this world has infected a lot of people, and it's because they've stepped away from God. They're getting farther away from a Christian moral foundation, and they're being emboldened by pundits who lack a Christian moral foundation. We have over half our society who believes that the supreme authority in their lives is the federal government, not God. And they're listening to what they say when you sit in prayer and you're praying to God. And, if you do, if you don't, I just recommend it. But if you do, you're sitting there talking to God. That's the supreme authority in your life who can have a meaningful impact in how you're living your life. If you don't have that, all you can do is sit and doom scroll on X and pay attention to the politicians. And when they tell you things are terrible, you believe them. And when you replace the God that has created this universe with the God that sits inside yourself, the God of self and the God of narcissism, then that drives people to violence. Because how dare you attack my God? That's the same thing as attacking me. That's how they get into this speech is violence. You say something bad about me, you're attacking me. No, we're attacking ideas. We're way past ideas, they would say, or they would think. This is personal. This is me. And it's my only thing that matters, my identity. Narcissism, religion of self. That's what they're focused on. And that's what causes these things, and that's what has to stop. If we're armed with all of this, with this, honestly, guys, with this, if you arm yourself with that and the power of numbers, small interactions with people in a way that resembles Christ, goodness gracious, the impact that can have across the world, across our country. How about we start there? I hate that it happened. I wish I had more information. I'm combing through X on a daily basis. I know you guys are as well. I'm looking at this data and just take it at face value initially. That's it. I'm just going to give a recommendation. Take it at face value. There's always deceptions in instances like this, and something's not sitting right with me about how the information's being presented. But we'll see. We'll see. You guys got anything you want me to look up, you want to talk about? Hit me up in the comments. I did this last time. I hung out and I wanted to hear from you guys. I heard from Jepper. So Jepper, he says that Trump's earshot seems like BS to me. I'm assuming he meant me. Okay, is this going to turn into another JFK conspiracy theory? Count me out. There you go. That's where he stands. I'm going to assume he sympathizes. I don't know. I mean, where do you sit politically, Jepper? Could it be the deep state that wanted to silence him? It could. Now, I will tell you, this is from Stray Kitten. There are people that are out there throwing the Israel connection around, which that was predictable. That was predictable. It could be. Here's the thing. Charlie Kirk, it was because he was effective. This is why they went after Charlie Kirk. If you are effective, I sit here and talk on the internet, and my channel's growing, but it's growing slowly, steadily, a little bit at a time. He had this meteoric rise. I mean, he put in boatloads of work when he was 18 years old. People were saying, "Oh, this guy's going to be a massive player in the Republican Party someday." And he did. He wound up being instrumental in a president of the United States getting elected. He's meeting with staffers and he's meeting with Donald Trump and he's making all these big decisions. And people seek to disrupt that because Donald Trump was the same way. Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, there's a lot of other people out there who I'm sure are tightening up their security because they're having a massive impact. They're changing minds, and they're doing it in a way that I couldn't do, or maybe I could, but I'm not capable of doing now. And they have to stop that because unified movements like the Trump, like MAGA. Look at MAGA as an example. MAGA had to be broken up. It has to be broken up for the left. Why? Because MAGA was a unifying movement that was bringing in people from the middle. It was bringing in even some people from the left who have been fatigued by identity politics. Charlie Kirk was doing that with the youth. Was doing that with the future voters in this country. When you're trying to consolidate power, that is a frightening force to the evil that exists in our politics. So do I think it could be the deep state in some way? And the deep state is an innocuous term, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think it could be. It totally could be. Those entities that took out, JFK and, RFK Jr. or RFK and MLK, all these polarizing, these important figures in history, the ones that did that, they didn't just go away after those events took place. Remnants of that existed, and that's what we were critical about Donald Trump, about getting rid of them. And I will say that, could it be just a simple case of another mentally deranged youth doing this? Yeah, it could be. It could be. Do you think it is, Stray Kitten? What is your inclination? What's your initial thought? Or anybody else that's on right now? What's your initial thought on, who's responsible for this sort of thing? That's this is part of my live stream, is talking with you guys. I'm doing it for you guys, ultimately, to try and bring you whatever information I can and look at it in a critical way. But I want to get your all's thoughts on this. Fire up the chat. I'd love to hear it. I'm here. I'll sit. I'll tell you what bugs me. As a veteran myself, these veterans, or not even veterans, people in uniform partaking in this political act, they're wearing their uniform and talking about how they love seeing what happened to Charlie Kirk. It's disgusting. Oh. Whoa. All right, I'm going to show you guys something. This is probably the worst thing I've seen. It's not violent, but this is derangement right here. You know what? I'll describe it. I'm not gonna give these people the time of day to publish this nonsense. It's a cartoon image of Charlie Kirk with everything, and it says debate this. These people are sick. Like I said in the open, I pray for them. I pray that things are revealed to them that show them the error of their ways. But my goodness, at some point, you've just lost you've lost your humanity. These people on the left a lot of these kids have lost their humanity. I don't know what to think, but I know. Oh, I'm going to assume you're being sarcastic. Stray Kitten, I'm going to assume you're being sarcastic, that we shouldn't question authority. We have to question everything. It's our responsibility, I believe, to question everything, especially now. The boomer generation, that's the thing. They were so comfortable in the mainstream media, with the mainstream media giving them information. And my parents were like this. It was always, you had on Fox News, you had on ABC, you had on NBC, whatever. You played it. News was news, and news was giving you information. And we've delved into this world now where it's all murky water. Whatever you're being fed, we now know is narrative. And my parents sometimes watch my show, and they watch other shows that are online, other people. It's not just a mainstream media feed. And, okay, I'm glad to hear that. And so this is what the internet has done. And it's both positive and it's negative. It's positive in that you can now get information that would otherwise not be released to you. You can listen to Megyn Kelly, or you can listen to, a Patrick Bet-David, or you can come here to Continue Freedom. You can listen to whoever you want to listen to and get information. But what I still tell people is these are online personalities, a lot of whom are just trying to get clicks. Not the ones I mentioned, but other people just trying to get clicks. Question it all and double, triple source it. You got to do a little research. Unfortunately, we now have responsibilities when it comes to the news, when it comes to what we're putting into our brains. It's not just being spoon-fed to us. In fact, it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much information out there. And 9 times out of 10, if it's one of the legacy mainstream media outlets, they're going to lie to you. They're going to contort the information some way, somehow. And all the people that grew up under the old school, old legacy people who were part of that transition, back in the day, it was, here's the news, America. Figure it out, or make your own determination, what you think of this news, of this thing that happened. Now it's all got a political spin on it. And it's put more responsibility on us. People like the Daily Wire or people like, Steven Crowder or whatever. It's all opinion news. It's just opposition opinion news. And the days of simply being presented information are gone. They are gone. If you hear it on the main, if you're getting all of your information from MSNBC, you're getting bad information. If you're getting all of your information from NBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, it's all bad information. And it has to be verified. Don't trust. Hear the topic. That's as far as you can go, is the topic and not even their editorializing of the topic. You get the basics of whatever it is they're trying to say and then go research it. Unfortunately, come here. I'm open to the fact that I give opinion and I'm conservative, but everybody question me, double check, triple check, go research it for yourself. But they are talking to these people. I'm going to show you the people that, let me find the right one here. Oh, I had so many more of these TikTokers. Nope, that's not the one. Oh my gosh, there's thousands and thousands of videos. Here you go. Here's one. Let's pull this one up here. Yeah, these guys. Honestly, I think this is who the mainstream media is talking to. They get a big boomer crowd. But these guys are listening to mainstream media and they're listening to Destiny.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Fuck Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi. You support his shooter?
Yep, sure do. It's freedom.
You support Charlie Kirk's shooter?
Sure do. He did us all a favor.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
You would have killed him yourself? Okay. Do you have a job here in Seattle?
Nope. I do TikTok for a living.
I do TikTok for a living. That's what he does. So he's another deranged TikToker making videos, coming to a Charlie Kirk vigil. Stresses me out, guys. But that's okay. We pray for him. We pray for him. And you know what? I think that's the lesson that I've taken from this. Honestly, that's what Charlie Kirk would have done. If he was here, he would debate them. If they weren't willing to debate, I guarantee you that guy was going off and praying for people and saying, what he was presented with, the vitriol and hate that he was that he had to deal with on a daily basis when he would do these college tours. I can't imagine what his prayer life was like. I can't imagine. Guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. We are in spiritual warfare, and there's only one way to fight that. It's not going to be with fists. It's not going to be with firearms. It's going to be with our hearts, with our souls, with a strong prayer life. That's the only thing that's going to defeat this. And not that we sit quietly in our homes and do nothing. No, we have to be the voice of reason. We have to be the voice of truth. And yeah, I know I'm going to keep doing it. For as small as my impact is, my little old podcast over here in this corner of the internet, I'm going to keep doing it because I like it, because I hate that my fellow Americans are being deceived. That's what drives people in this space. And, I'm thankful that the internet is forever and that I will have this guy's, example. He's younger than I am. He accomplished more in his life than I have accomplished in my 44 years. And to have people like this, driven people like that, wow, it's motivational. And I'm glad the internet is forever, and I'm glad we'll have him forever. His words of wisdom, they've been great. Stray Kitten asked if that was Cam Higbee. I have no idea who that was in that video. Yep. Well, any other comments, any other thoughts from the folks that are on? I appreciate your all's interaction. I really do. And, you know, I'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be, I'm going to liven it up a bit more. We're not just going to talk about this. We're going to talk about some facts and some specifics. Whatever comes out in the next 24 hours, I'll bring it to you guys tomorrow. And you know what? God bless you all. God bless America. I love this country. And, you know, I know that in our small way, we're making a difference here. We've got other people making a difference, and we're going to pick up the mantle and we're going to continue where he left off. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video.